It's time for a call for an uprising, which is the name of this channel. They believe in a bunch of QAnon stuff, and they also believe that satanic witches are real. They believe that magic is real because they're crazy. They believe that you can cast magical spells like your Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which you can't, in case you needed to know that. What do you call a swatch from Croatia? Is the joke that it's crotch because it starts with a C? I don't even know.
A call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Witches be fill in the blank. Witches galore, right? The indoctrination of the youth with witches. Somehow the human mind in this country has slipped past seeing how they're constantly promoting witchcraft, witches from Harry Potter, from Disney World.
Harry Potter isn't even like a current... I mean, I guess they're still doing the Fantastic Beasts movies, but like, get more recent references for witchcraft. Sabrina the Teenage Witch on Netflix. Boom. There's one. I'm sure there are other, like, heck, The Wizards of Waverly Place. I don't know, that's not even a recent one, but there are other kids' things with witches in them. Querulous Artisan with 10 bets. Hey, even I have proof all crystals can banish, you just have to throw them hard enough. All witches do is lie and eat hot chip.
Magic, right? You guys hear me talk about it all the time, and I'm not going to stop talking about it because it helps wake up young kids, young teens, even people who are
Owl House. I'm assuming that's a thing with witches. I'm not familiar.
Adults who practice, or Christians who practice New Age type of witchcraft who don't even realize they're doing it with the stones and the, what do you call it, the signs, you know, people who are like, I'm a Scorpion, you know, that kind of crap. Astrology, I guess is the term.
Astrology also isn't real. It's a thing people believe, but it's not real. It poses no danger to you outside of the fact that you're believing a fake thing. And there is some danger in that, and the magical thinking involved can lead you to other false things. But astrology in and of itself is not wicked or sinful or dangerous. It's just a false thing people believe. It's just not real.
That they use, an ass, I say, very non-vaguely. But here's the newest film that is out called Witches, right? And this is a remake, because of course they have to remake Witches. Nobody even cared or watched the first one.
I liked the movie The Witches as a kid. It's based on a Roald Dahl. I always feel like I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Same guy who wrote Matilda and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, a bunch of other kids' books. I think he wrote BFG, Big Friendly Giant, not Doom BFG. But yeah, he wrote a bunch of children's books. One of the movie adaptations was The Witches. It was done in like the 80s, I think. It's it had very creepy moments. It's one of those 80s kids movies that's like very light, but then occasionally there'll be some like really dark, scary stuff that happens. I enjoyed it as a kid. People know about it. 74 Quinn 74. After going from Christian to atheist, I eventually became Wiccan and did witchcraft. I don't believe in it anymore, but it was at least fun and 100% positive. And you harm no one, do what you will. Yeah, sure. I still think that there is inherent danger to participating in magical thinking. And what I mean by that is like the belief that there is magic and that some things just happen and operate by magic, and sort of huge leaps in logic that are necessary to believe in magic, but the act itself isn't harmful, really, because it's ineffectual. Magic isn't real. You're not doing anything. Like, you can literally cast, like, a death spell on someone, but as long as you're not actually doing anything to them, you're not harming them. You're doing nothing.
But they want to remake it again and throw in Anne Hathaway, who, of course, reveals herself in the movie. It's the real look of Anne Hathaway right here, folks. Wouldn't be a surprise. Would anyone be shocked if she took off the wig and this is what we had?
Yeah, I would be very shocked, actually. Thank you for asking.
Cue ball? Probably not. But what's interesting to point out, I want to show you this.
Wouldn't that be convenient if Anne Hathaway in real life looked exactly like the character from the book that she's playing? Because in the book, it's explained that witches are bald, and they have like sweaty scalp itch because of the bad wigs that they wear, and it leads to like gross scabbing and stuff, and it's part of like what makes the witches look gross. So it'd be very convenient if that was a real witch lore thing and it wasn't just something that Roald Dahl made up. like if the witches is real, then there's a chocolate factory somewhere, and we need to go like get SEALs Team 6 to try and save Augustus Gloop, okay? Like, Roald Dahl was a fiction author for children. The things he wrote aren't real.
The rise of witchcraft is the constant reference to witches hating children, to witches wanting to exterminate children. And this goes back, if you read about why witches were burned at the stake and everything else, it was because they were abducting animals and children.
No! No. They were accused of doing some of these things, but there's no evidence that actually happened because, as it turns out, witches aren't real. Witches aren't real. The idea of, like, witches existing and tormenting children is something that comes from, like, folklore and myth. It's not real because witches aren't real.
And now it's all folklore because they say, well, crazy Christians were making that stuff up.
Yes! Yes, that's because that's an accurate assessment of what happened.
Yet in the movies and yet everywhere else, we constantly still hear about this type of storyline, so to speak, because this is what real witches and Satanists do. This is what Halloween and these other...
Daddy Sume with 10 bits. Yeah, the old widow who lives in the woods is not a witch. She's just a lonely old lady whose husband died. Yeah. Let me tell you guys. You know how I know there's no such thing as magic and that witches aren't real? I'll tell you exactly how I know this. Because if they were, I would be one. I would be a witch. Absolutely 100%. I would have no qualms about it. But I'm not, so you know it's not real. Querulous Artisan, the witch trials happened because of money. I mean, I think there's a lot of factors that led into the various witch trials that happened all over Europe and eventually, very late in the game, in the United States and Salem.
You know, the solstices and the equinoxes are about for them. But listen and watch closely. There's a few clips here from the trailer for Witches. I can't play the whole thing for...
Let me see. Does he get copyright for... No, okay, cool.
Copyright reasons, but you'll get the gist of it.
Witches. They're real.
Let's just say, if witchcraft was real, I would be a witch, and my channel on YouTube would have more than the subscribers that it currently has. That would be my deal with Satan. Hey, Satan, just between you and me, can we get a cool 1,000,000 subs? You know? Can we get that done, and then I'll sell my soul or whatever? Get that sweet, sweet YouTube gold plaque.
Yeah.
Is this a remake of the 90s movie? Yes, it's a remake of the movie from whenever it came out. I guess I'm actually not sure. Real Jeff Holliday. Oh, hey, Jeff. Thank you for following. Welcome.
And they hate children.
What you do? You terror mice. Learning all around this hotel.
Call the exterminator.
You see, girls? He would exterminate those brats.
So it's so funny, right? To exterminate the brats instead of the rat. I mean, whoever wants to sit through this, I feel bad for you. I mean, I'd rather poke my eyeball with a razor blade, but...
It's just a movie! It's just a movie! Witches aren't real. Witches aren't real. It's a fiction book. Roald Dahl wrote it. He's like we know about Roald Dahl. He's like a World War II veteran. He wrote books about how children suck. Willy Wonka basically murdered a bunch of children. Okay? But that didn't really happen either. This isn't a real... It's not a documentary. Ah!
Interesting to note that Anne Hathaway is wearing her black and white Masonic colors, right? Because that's just a coincidence.
Hey! Jeff, thank you very much for the raid. Welcome, Raiders. We're doing Tinfoil Tuesday, where where we look at ridiculous conspiracy theories, both articles and channels on YouTube, and talk about how stupid they are. Everyone, make sure you go and follow Jeff Holliday here on Twitch. Oh boy. You know how sometimes we cover Jillian of Jilly Juice fame here on Tinfoil Tuesday? Because she goes on some pretty crazy conspiratorial rants now and again. And by now and again, I mean almost daily. Jeff basically did the magnum opus of Jilly Juice stuff. And a Song of Salt and Poo on YouTube, and also Jeff looks at some pretty interesting people here on Twitch too. So definitely, if you haven't already, go and follow Jeff, okay? Does one of the mods want a link to Jeff Holliday's channel? That'd be great.
Coincidence too, right? Where do we see? Oh, right, the Freemasons with the black and white. Well, it's not just the Masons. How about the Eastern Star, the female version of Freemasons, which I've exposed time and time again on this channel, which for some reason I've had multiple videos taken down on it because they claim it's controversial. I have no idea why.
They're probably taking it down because you're making slanderous lies about individuals and organizations on the reg, which isn't usually a good thing to do as a creator on YouTube. Been doing things for 8 years. Generally not a good idea to slander someone.
That's right, capitalistic.
Not a good strategy. Thank you, Caffeine Tweaker, for following.
But you know, they use the upside down pentagram, Baphomet pentagram as their logo.
Thank you, Baha. Baha just posted a link to Jeff's channel, Real Jeff Holliday. Go give him a follow.
They're witches, that's why. It's another recruiting ground for witches, just like Masonry indoctrinates the Freemasons as they, grow through Freemasonry and the degrees into Satanism, into different sections or different secret societies as they grow inside of Freemasonry. So you saw the black and white, obviously you saw the snake and the serpent. And if you look up the plot of this, I mean, that's the plot of the whole thing. And it's almost like, how many of these movies with witches have the same plot? Hocus Pocus, remember that? Disney was so kind to give us Hocus Pocus, and people are like, oh, I love Hocus Pocus.
First of all, Hocus Pocus is an amazing movie. If you don't like Hocus Pocus, get out of my face. Second of all, Hocus Pocus came out like 20-something years ago. When did Hocus Pocus come out? Hocus Pocus came out in 1993. Hocus Pocus came out 27 years ago. Jesus, that can't be right. Hocus Pocus came out 27 years ago? Jesus Christ. Okay. Hocus Pocus came out 27 years ago. So you're basically saying, why is Disney making these movies about witches all the time? 27 years apart? That's a year longer than Pennywise the Clown slumbers between his bouts of murdering children in Derry, Maine. Like, what? That is not very common. Dr. Gamble, I cast a spell on you. Is that the words? No, it's I put a spell on you, and now you're mine. That's a great sequence from that movie.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Querulous Artisan with 10 bits. What the F? No, it is not that old. Hocus Pocus is not that old. It is. It was a year before I was born. So, yeah, 27.
The plot of Hocus Pocus is the witches come back and they're going to kill kids. So if they don't before like midnight, they turn into dust. But, forget that aspect. I mean, they're pretty much making society already despise kids. Anytime I go and do a debate or I argue and go after Satanists.
Dr. Gamble, book.
I ask them about...
Oh, did I miss some bits? I'm sorry. Let me go back. 74, Quinn, 74, where were your bits? Why can't I find them? Let me go into my thing. Are you sure I missed some? I don't see them. I read your thing about doing the witchcraft, or I read that. Was there another one? I didn't think I saw it.
children, they have the same thing. They're like, oh, they're little people. Like they don't look at them as if they're human beings. It's pretty.
I think most people look at children as human beings, like they're developing human beings. I don't personally like being around kids. I'm never going to have kids. One of the side benefits of the hormones that I'm on during my transition is that they sterilized me, or at least they should. I haven't actually gotten a test, but it's supposed to, and I'm very happy about that. I don't want to be around kids. But that doesn't mean I don't, think kids should be allowed to exist. Good for kids. I'm happy they're out there being happy, and I hope they develop into well-balanced adults with reasonability and happiness in their lives. I just don't want to be around them because I don't like them very much. It's just frustrating. I barely know how to interact with, adult people. I don't need the extra constraint of, oh, they're a kid. I don't need that in my life. Querulous Artisan with 10 bits gonna go find my cane and tell them kids to get off my lawn.
Disgusting. Pretty disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting and despicable. But these people aren't human. They're soulless.
Turf Warfare with 100 bits. What did y'all read to get you through that awkward period of living with your white-ass dad who looks like 50 years old and the only reason you're in his house is because he has money? Oh, God. Ugh. That's a good question. What books was I reading in, I know I read Twilight.
So the plot of this, an 8-year-old...
I left my parents' house, right away, though. Almost as soon as I turned 18, I got out of there, so...
boy is warned about witches, female demons with a boundless hatred for children who use various methods of
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Wait, I don't hate children. Wait a second. I'm not sure what the context was. And then Daddy Sume with some sort of link. It's like when making Hocus Pocus, they told Bette Midler, this is camp, just do whatever you want. They told Sarah Jessica Parker that she could either drop acid or do a line of coke before every take, but she had to do one. They told Kathy Najimy, I'm not sure how her name is pronounced, that her character is just an evil golden retriever, and then they told all the actors playing the kids that this was a very serious horror movie, and if they didn't take all of this seriously, they'd be in trouble. Accurate. And then was there something else I missed? I thought I heard a noise. Oh, DMNK154. Thank you for following.
Destroying or transforming them. Oh my! Witches who want to destroy children. But
yeah, that's a common trope in folklore. That's why it appears in stories a lot.
We're supposed to believe that, again, witches are pagans. Halloween's about trick-or-treating.
In the Witches, I'm not sure if witches are pagans. I'm actually not sure the origin. It's been a long time. I haven't read the book, The Witches, although I did actually read it as a kid. I read both Willy Wonka books, and I read The Witches. I'm not sure if I don't think I read Matilda or anything, although I did like the movie a lot as a kid. So I've read the Roald Dahl, books, at least some of them. I don't remember if there's an origin for the witches and if they explain, why they have magic powers, but that's not really relevant to the story. It's just a story about a kid being confronted with, a cabal of witches who are at the hotel he's staying at for, a witch convention.
And it's all about, yay, let's...
Matilda is a witch, basically. True. Whisper 4356, thank you for following, and then MMO Addicted with 10 bits. I am the definition of schadenfreude. I am laughing my ass off because the European Games Commission is considering taking away the hosting of it from Krakow, Polish city, over concerns for the safety of LGBTQ athletes, as Krakow is in a self-proclaimed LGBTQ free zone. I want to be deceased. Krakow's a good city name, though. Krakow! Krakow!
Get candy and dress up like
Matilda was psychic? Yeah, Matilda's psychic. She basically, let's be real though, Matilda's hanging around Salem in a specific time period. She's getting burned at the stake, okay? Her and Miss Honey.
The Joker and other stuff. How about this? For if you feel this stuff is just, oh well, it's a stretch because it's a movie about witches. This is the stuff I get from people who refuse to believe that any of this is going on. Cosmopolitan is probably, and no, not the drink, Cosmopolitan magazine is probably one of the most popular female magazines out there. Women read this all the time, and
Out of women's magazines, sure, Cosmo is probably quite popular, though I don't know the exact statistics. But the idea that this guy has in his head of like 90% of women hanging around their houses and reading Cosmo is kind of hilarious. Like, you know the internet's a thing, right? People don't read magazines very much. Print media is kind of dying right now, so maybe adjust your gender stereotypes appropriately. Antipodian Squid, Matilda isn't a witch or a psychic. She got her powers because of being understimulated. They keep her powers in the movie for a happier ending. But in the book, once she is adopted by Miss Honey and being properly challenged mentally, she lost them. Oh, that's sad. That's sad. You don't want to lose the powers. Winge Chanter with 10 bits. Danny DeVito helped the actress who was playing Matilda by going with her to visit her dying mother and obtaining an advanced copy of the movie so she could watch it before she died. Oh, that's nice. Sad, though. Danny DeVito directed Matilda, for those of you who don't know. Very strange choices in that movie. I like Matilda a lot, but it was very weird for Danny DeVito to cast himself both as the abusive father and as the caring narrator. And he doesn't change his voice, really. He's a kinder sounding voice, but it's still just Danny DeVito. So he's like the kind narrator that's on Matilda's side, but also he's the abusive, angry father. Strange choice. Good movie, though.
Subscribe to it. It's like Vogue almost. They have an article out, and I've covered them before because they've had articles promoting teens and witchcraft and how, making it cool and witchcraft products that they were selling. They have one here, how to celebrate Samhain. Sorry if I say Sam Hain and people go, it's Samhain. I heard it in Halloween 2, if anyone has ever seen it. And Loomis says Sam Hain, so that's what I thought it was. I mean, it's spelt the same way, but anyway.
It's good when you get most of the information about the satanic cults that you think exist from John Carpenter films.
How to celebrate Samhain, a.k.a. the...
Isn't it Samhain? I thought it was Samhain.
Witch's New Year. Oh, you want to see something right in your face here? Listen to this. Listen how they dust it off. So you probably celebrate Halloween by dressing up in a costume or binge watching scary movies. But you know the holiday's origins? The roots of Halloween can be traced back to Samhain, an annual celebration that originated with the ancient Celts.
Celts. Querulous Artisan with 10 bits. This is starting to sound like empowered women equals witchcraft, which is kind of the origin of witchcraft in and of itself, as far as like European public or European popular culture is concerned. Oh, there's an old widow living out in the woods providing herbs to people. She must be a witch. MMO Addicted with 10 bits. Fun fact, Krakow is named after a legendary king, Krak, whose name is either named after the crowing of ravens or bushes or an oak tree. That's quite a... Either the crowing of ravens or, an oak tree. Jousterson, Samhain, all mean Sam Hain. Okay. All right.
The Celts, whatever they want to call it. The Celts celebrated 8 Sabbats throughout the year. Festivals that marked a turning point in nature's annual cycle. Kind of like cheering in each new season, right? Get ready for it. Samhain was held October 31st until November 1st, and it represented the start of winter, the end of the harvest period, and the end of the new year. Of course, that wasn't all. There may have been some pretty dark and disturbing traditions going on related to fire and sacrifice. As you know, if you've seen The Wicker Man, on a slightly less terrifying note, because of course, they deflect right off of it. And The Wicker Man isn't even a tip of the iceberg. If you've seen The Wicker Man.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
You guys seen The Wicker Man? Nicolas Cage in a bear costume.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Yeah. Like Christianity. Yeah. Turf Warfare with 100 bits. Dear God, how do these flat Earth effers react to other forms of spirituality. Like, what would call for an uprising do if you take him to an indigenous religious ritual? He'd lose his mind. Christianity is fine, but it's not the only practice. Yeah,
There's nothing funny
basically.
about the tools of
It's a pretty typical, like, religious move to be like, hey, my religion is spiritual and fine, but your religion is, like, evil and dark and demonic, you know, or whatever the
There's nothing
relative
funny about the
cultural
tools of
association
capitalism.
would be with evil. MMO addicted, it's old, Hannah. Not all countries were founded by European invaders in the second millennium. And then Dr. Gamble, don't forget the bees. And then Towing24, the bees, not the bees. Yes, I'm aware of the bees.
I mean, there's dozens of movies that really show you, and I've covered them on this channel, what these people are about and what they do. They are soulless. But they say as Christianity's influence grew, Samhain's traditions were incorporated into All Saints' Day on November 1st. The day before it became known as All Hallows' Eve or Halloween. Some speculate that trick-or-treating began as a Samhain tradition in which children said prayers for the dead in exchange for food and money. October 31st and November 1st are days during which people have for centuries honored their dead, told fortunes, planned for the year, and celebrated what they achieved in the previous year. So that's what they want you to think that it is, because that's what they tell you that it is. But for any...
Do you have any evidence that it's not that? Because there's tons of historical backing to back up what they are saying about Halloween and its origins. Like, you can't just say, well, that's what they want you to think, without providing evidence that what they're saying is untrue, provided, of course, that they have already met their burden of proof, which they have. There's tons of historical backing in terms of the origins of Halloween. Jake and I have looked into it previously. We've done some Halloween movies on Hannah and Jake, where we do sort of like reviews of religious movies, and one of the ones we did, I think, was Hell House, and there were some other ones that basically demonized Halloween, and of course there are chick tracts that do the same. So we've looked into the history of Halloween, and all of this is, like, true, insofar as, you know, any historical knowledge is probably going to be a little off, but, like, no, based on the evidence, this is basically where Halloween comes from. It's interesting. And unless you have evidence that shows that this is untrue somehow, then you need to get out of here with the conspiracy nonsense that history as we know it is all fake.
Anyone who's a real practicing witch or Satanist, it's exactly what I read in the beginning. They actually tell you it, but did you see how they deflect the wording? There may have been some pretty dark and disturbing traditions going on related to fire and sacrifice. Oh, okay, so they just stopped their traditions, and then they just said, all right, you know what? Instead of burning animals and children and all this stuff, let's just, anyone have any ideas? Anyone out there? Yes, Warlock number 2. How about we put chocolate, we give chocolate to people, they knock on door, and we put on costume. Oh, yeah.
No. Cultural traditions change over time, and also, oh boy. Do I want to get into St. Patrick and him driving?
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Windchanter with 10 bits, a purely secular holiday not based on my invisible sky wizard. Cast spell of incantation, hocus pocus and stuff. Poof, Hannah is now a newt. Pay no attention to her on screen. She is now a newt because I'm a witch because my name says so. True, I am a newt.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Warlock number 2 is the real founder of Halloween, yeah. So, the cultural traditions of the Celts, as far as I understand, ended up being, oh boy, when the Catholic Church came and made contact, they were pretty stamped out, let's say. It was not I don't think it was a collective decision made by the Celts. They were like, hey guys, you know, maybe we should stop doing this stuff. I think it was more the Catholic Church came in and was like, you're Satan because you believe different things than us. So your interpretation of events is very, very ignorant.
I mean, that's not far-fetched, going from the traditions we're doing involving fire and human sacrifice. Now, it's a front for what Halloween's about, and it's also an indoctrination because so many people love Halloween.
It's pronounced Celts. I don't think that's true.
They love it. You know how many people comment on my videos and they're like, it's so fun, stop being a Grinch. I'm a Christian, I still celebrate Halloween. Look, I'm not telling you.
The Celts were already being stamped out by ancient Roman influence before the Catholic Church basically sealed the deal. Gotcha.
How to live your life or what to do. That's between you and God if you're a saved Christian. Okay? I'm just telling you what really goes on Halloween.
No, you're not. You're not, because you have no evidence that what you're saying is true. You're just repeating satanic panic lines from the 1980s like they're true, when they're not. And it's been shown time and time again that all that satanic panic nonsense was just that. It was paranoid nonsense. And a lot of that these days is folded into what is basically QAnon. So, please stop promoting ridiculous conspiracies about Halloween, which is funny too, because this year Halloween isn't even gonna happen. I mean, the holiday will happen, but like trick-or-treating and a lot of Halloween parties, they're not gonna happen because of COVID, and it sucks, but like, guys, Halloween is just a fun holiday for kids. It's not this evil thing. If you have evidence to the contrary, please present it. MLG 1977, thanks for the 100 bits.
Now I'm telling you, you better, when you walk around in October and you see during this time period from the 13th to the 31st, you see missing dog signs and missing cat signs. What do you think? Suddenly the dog was just like, you know what? I'm good. I'm going to peace out at this period of time. Or the cat, when you're feeding them and giving them love every day. They just don't report animal abductions anymore.
Yes, people do. If they think their dog or cat has actually been abducted, they do. But that doesn't happen super often. I'm sure people have pets stolen occasionally. Like, I know I've read stories of people having their pets stolen because someone wanted the pet, or there might be some dumb teenage LARPers who thinks it's cool to, like, steal someone's black cat and do something to it on Halloween, which is disgusting. But again, there are not, like, real... I cannot reiterate enough that magic is not real, and that, like, there is not this secret Satanist cabal that is doing blood magic on Halloween. Like, even if there are people like that, they're just crazy delusional people, right? They're not actually doing magic, and I very much doubt they're actually actively harming animals in the process of their dumb delusion. Querulous Artisan with 10 bits. One of the biggest issues is people harming black cats because of BS Christian superstitions. Yeah, I've heard that.
Anytime they report
I've also heard certain adoption places won't adopt out black cats during October because some people are going to do stupid shit with them.
animals missing is during hurricanes because they want everyone to get their animal microchipped. And let's not even get into the...
Okay, if you're worried about your cat being stolen by a satanic cabal, you should probably get them microchipped then, because then you can track them.
Children stuff because they won't recover it anymore. This is so common in the 80s and the early 90s that children were going missing on Halloween.
Untrue. That's a myth. That's a myth that even A Call for an Uprising, the guy making this video, recognizes, but his excuse is, oh, they changed the record. They changed the record. There were kids disappearing on Halloween every single year, and it happened, and it was an epidemic, but all the records of it got changed, so there's no evidence that it ever happened. It didn't happen.
What do you think? Their parents let them go loose, and they were just like, let's run away from home and live in the woods because we know how to start fire from scratch and...
No, what you're talking about just didn't happen. You're just lying.
We could find food out here instead of my mom and dad making me food every day and giving me a roof over my head and a bed and a shower and a toilet with toilet paper. No, I'd rather, let's run away into the woods. Huh? No, they go missing.
Complete straw man, by the way. As if kids disappear and it's not Satanists, the only other option is that the kid wanted to go and live in the woods and be self-sustaining. As if there's no other options, like, I don't know, a family member kidnapping them, which most kidnappings are done by family or friends of the family. Or, like, even in the small case of, like creep in a van, picking kids up, which does happen, but quite occasionally. I don't know. It's not, the options are not Satanist cult performing real magic or kid decides to go live in the woods. If a kid goes missing, there are a lot of things other than these two options that are much more likely.
There's never a report of what happened to them. They end up on a milk carton, which is just not irony because of, if you've watched the videos I've done on milk and milk baths and the rituals involved in it, the Satanic temple even dumping milk on doing milk rituals in front of the abortion clinic. I mean, this stuff is all happening. And look at the year 2020 and how normalized this has become. There are more people who are interested in practicing witchcraft and Satanism than there are in believing in Christ. And that's because
Oh my god, dude. 65% of American adults are Christian. You're the majority. There aren't that many Satanists, and those who are Satanists typically aren't ones who actually believe in Satan. It's like a symbolic thing for them. Like, there's an entire group of Satanists who are just atheists who use the term to A, be edgy, and B, make points legally. Like, if they try and put 10 commandments on the court property, they'll put like a Baphomet statue up to be like, see what happens when you try and push your religion on other people. But like, there are very few legit Satanists who not only are Satanists and call themselves that, but legitimately believe not only that Satan is real, but that Satan empowers them to do dark magic. And even if they do believe this, these very few people, guess what? They're wrong. Satan doesn't exist. No one's doing magic.
on the stereotype, right? What's the stereotype for Christians? Cookie cutter, sweater, bring your cupcakes to the church drive. Oh, Christians ask for money. All this kind of stuff that people, because you have the televangelists who are out there, saying, plant your money or send the money. And, Joel Osteen preaching for people to be prosperous, right? So that's the minds. People see that and they stereotype it because all the TV shows show it. And what do they show the witches and the Satanists as? Cool, right? The rock and rollers who worship Satan. Oh, they make them look so cool, right?
When? What? When have there been things that are like, ooh, look at this badass Satanist? If you're talking about witches in general, then like, if we're talking about like Harry Potter or something, the witches and wizarding world in Harry Potter is cool because it's like a children's book fantasy that's supposed to be like a power fantasy. Like, ooh, what if you could go to wizard school and make a bunch of friends and have boarding school adventures with all your wizard friends? Because people like the idea of having magic powers. That's not satanic. That's not evil. MMO addicted. Fun fact, Poland has a deal with the Vatican giving preference to Christians in a variety of things, including such things as allowing the local government to sell the church land at up to 99% discount, making it one of the biggest landowners and owners of a lot of skyscrapers and hotels. Gross.
Right? Well, the TV shows have the Christians in the sweaters. They look like dorks. And then they have the witches, right? They're all the good guys in the movies, are the witches, like Sabrina, the teenage witch.
Not really, though, because the movie that you were talking about, The Witches, that's coming out, it's a remake of a movie based on a Roald Dahl book. The witches are the bad guys in that. They're the antagonists. The protagonist, the kid, is fighting against the witches, and by the end of it, he triumphs and defeats the witches, who turn him into a mouse. That's like a thing in the movie and the book. He and another guy get turned into mice by the witches, and then through a series of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, we're tiny in this big hotel hijinks, they end up defeating the witches and being reverted back to humans.
The good guy.
Spoilers for like a 50-year-old book.
Lucifer, the TV show. Oh, Lucifer's the good guy.
Yeah, but that's, oh boy. I guess I haven't really seen Lucifer, but Lucifer is a character in the DC comics too. Lucifer, DC Comics. Lucifer is a character in the DC Comics. And he's like, yeah, let's look at his character biography, shall we? I'm not very familiar. You're gonna watch the new adaptation? I mean, you can still watch it. Did you think they were gonna murder the kids in the kids movie? Lucifer Samuel Morningstar is a fictional superhero character appearing primarily as a supporting character in the comic book series The Sandman and as the title character of a spin-off. Through various depictions of Lucifer, the biblical fallen angel and devil of Christianity have been presented by DC Comics in their run. This interpretation by Neil Gaiman debuted in The Sandman Volume 2 in 1989. Lucifer Morningstar is one of the most powerful beings in the DC universe. The ongoing Lucifer spin-off series written by Mike Carey depicted his adventures on Earth, Heaven, and in various other realms of his family's creations and in uncreated voids after abandoning Hell in Sandman Volume 2. Fictional character biography.
There's nothing funny about
In the
the
earlier
tools of
related series
capitalism.
Sandman, written by Neil Gaiman, Lucifer abandoned his lordship over Hell. While Lucifer had previously appeared in various stereotypical guises in earlier DC books, Gaiman's version was premised on an English poet and prose writer, John Milton's Paradise Lost. At Gaiman's request of the artist, Lucifer looks like David Bowie at the time. In Sandman Volume 2, Lucifer had ruled as Lord of Hell for 10 billion years after rebelling 3 seconds after creation. Over that time, he had manipulated the various demons of hell against each other, provided a place for dead mortals to be tormented, and led the war against heaven. However, at some point during his rule, he had become bored with his existence. He became tired of the various stereotypes and prejudices that mortals held of the devil, such as the idea that he purchased and traded for souls, which was largely untrue, and he forced mortals to commit evil acts. He had become tired of his reign over hell and felt it an unfair punishment that he should have to rule there forever simply because he once rebelled. In Sandman Volume 2 story, Season of Mists, Lucifer expels all the demons and damned souls from hell before closing hell's gates and handing over the key of hell to the Dream of the Endless. The title, you get it. So he's Satan. He's not Satan. I think Satan is a separate entity in DC. But he's Lucifer. He's the fallen angel. The point of the DC comic book series is, let's look at the story from his point of view. It's not like trying to push a message that, like, Satan is good necessarily. It's just a story about a fictional character, like any fictional character. Satan isn't real, so it doesn't really matter how you view him as a fictional character. He's not a real thing. MMO Addicted with 10 bits. Same deal makes it so Poland funds Christian religious studies and technically optional is practically compulsory for kids from the ages of 6 to 16. Sex ed is done in presence and input from the priest. Oh, that's disgusting. New Monster, can you tell my fiance happy birthday? What is your fiance's name? Like, not dox them, but, you know, just enough so I can tell them happy birthday. Doon, 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 doon.
Everything's inverted, and that's why people are led away from Christianity. And one of the biggest problems
Happy birthday, Thomas. Happy birthday, Thomas.
have is say, look, I'm not perfect, and I never said I was, and I'm far from it. I got a bad mouth. My temper's not as bad as it used to be, believe it or not, probably because my health isn't as good as it used to be. But people look at me and they go, that's not the tongue of a Christian, right? And I say, well, what is a tongue of a Christian? Because what? Because you see these nice preachers who speak softly on TV and you can't handle somebody who speaks loudly? And I'm not a minister. I am not a pastor. This is not a ministry. This is a YouTube channel that exposes darkness. I'm just a Christian guy. But people look and they go,
but you're not exposing darkness. You're making unfounded claims based on zero evidence. You're just making a fool of yourself.
oh, look at Carl. Carl's talking to Satanists and he's telling them off, you know?
Yes, look at the great evil in this image. These kids having fun on Halloween. The evil! MMO Addicted. Oh, wait, I mixed up fun facts and reasons I wanna KMS. Oopsie. Oh.
Oh, excuse me. Maybe because when I hear the word curse in the Bible, I'm thinking of curses and actual spells because that's what it's referring to in my belief. I didn't see anywhere it says the F word or something like that is the curse word. Now, I don't use those words on my channel because there are teens listening and their parents might want to raise them a certain way. And no, I don't walk through my life cursing and spewing out of my mouth. But there's also people out there who are like, oh, somebody cursed in a video. As if they've never cursed before, or used a word, F word before, or something like that. Anyway, I'm going off on a rant. But the point is there is a rise in witchcraft, and there is a complete falling away in Christianity.
No. In order for there to be a rise in something, it has to be real. There is no such thing as witchcraft. There might be people who believe they can practice witchcraft, or they're like Wiccan, and that's fine. I don't care. People can believe what they want to believe. I can't stop them. I don't care. But magic isn't real. It poses no danger, again, outside of how magical thinking in general can lead you down some pretty bad paths, like QAnon. You want to see real evil? Look at this, says Xandris. Oh, God. Oh, God. I like bacon cheeseburgers, and even I am pretty grossed out by this. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, that's too much meat. That is so much meat. Do not want.
And you see more Christians attack Christians and question, ooh, is he a real Christian? Ooh, does he believe in the same doctrine as me? Oh, does he believe in the rabbi? Oh, does he believe that hell's eternal? The Satanists and the witches aren't doing that to each other.
MMO addicted God. This is proof there is no God.
They're going after the Christians and working together. But the Christians just continue to go after each other. And then we allow the media and we allow people out there, or we end up seeing more and more people who become ministers copying what they see on TV. So they think that, okay, to be a minister, I have to dress this way, right? I got to wear a suit and tie, and I've got to be standing in front of the, on the altar or whatever, in front of it. And I've got to speak nicely and calmly and preach about love, right? That's the thing. It's like you gotta preach about love. I don't ever hear calls speak about love.
Am I a vegan vegetarian? I'm not. Baha is, so I do eat vegan food when she's around. But no, I'm not.
Jesus was all about love. Yeah, well, there's also a big deception going on with love.
I'm unfortunately a huge cheese slut, so even if I went vegetarian, I would have a very difficult time not eating cheese. But I don't know. I don't necessarily have plans to do that in the near future.
Love right now, because the Antichrist is the one who's going to come and bring peace and love to the world. Right? They're like, well, Jesus says love's your enemies. Yeah, I understand that. I get that. But to what point?
Cheese sluts unite. Solidarity.
Somebody's doing something to a kid. Am I supposed to go up to him, tap him on the back, and be like, you know what? I forgive you. I love you. Or am I supposed to knock him out? Because guess what? The latter is what's going to happen.
Is there no in-between between telling someone you love them and literally assaulting them? Hannah mentioned cheese. We got that earlier, I think. Did we? Well, if not, then that counts, yes.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Furia Furna says, I feel your pain, Hannah. Cheese is pretty much the only reason I'm not vegan. I mean, cheese is amazing. Cheese is amazing. It's so good.
So, witches, Satanism, the occult continues to be promoted. Obviously, this is the period now where all these movies are on TV, the horror movies. I put a documentary up on my website about, which stuff you won't see aired anymore, about the time period, about, the movies and all that stuff, and the indoctrination of Halloween and trick-or-treating and all that. And a lot of people just think it's like this huge joke, and it's not. It's not. I'm not telling you how to live your life, but I'm telling you this is what Halloween...
I'm not telling you how to live your life, but if you enjoy any media that involves witches, you're working with Satan. Querulous Artisan with 10 bits. God is real. It's a wheel of Parmesan cheese is pretty fantastic.
This isn't about, getting candy and, suddenly because, you just want to dress up like your favorite movie.
Cheese cleanse. I'll have you know, that's actually an embarrassing story. I'm not going to tell it.
Character or whoever, that, you're not partaking in a festival or a ritual in a sense. Because, frankly, you are. And look, I trick-or-treated like once or twice when I was a kid. I didn't have a clue about this stuff. So I'm glad I know now, and I'm glad I hope I can help other people. And I'm sorry if it's something you love and now you're like, now that's ruined. But guess what? You're not supposed to love the things of this world, and that's a tradition of this world. It's not a biblical tradition. It's not something that Jesus Christ told us to go do. Satanism, folks, witchcraft, these people, they are everywhere, and they are going to indoctrinate your children over and over and over as much as they possibly can. unless we put a stop to it. As far as I'm concerned, I'll tell every witch out there where they can stick their broom. There's plenty of holes to stick them in, but there's one in particular that it belongs in. I think you know what I mean. I thank you for listening to today's show. Be aware, stay strong in your faith, and God bless all of you and your families.
Witches aren't real. Stop being hysterical. This guy's out there, so I don't have a lot to say about this other than, yeah, witches aren't real. Stop worrying so much. MMO addicted. I mean, I'd love a cute Satanist to stick their broom up my bum. Oh, God, says MMO addicted. Jesus Christ. Did I bathe in Jesus? No, the story I was going to tell was one time I literally just ate so much Parmesan cheese. This was years ago. But one time I literally just got like a spoon and was eating Parmesan cheese. Grated Parmesan cheese, and I ate so much I got sick. Don't do that. Don't just eat straight Parmesan cheese. It's not good for you. It's a very dry cheese. Cheese OD. I did. I OD'd on cheese. I messed up. Why? Because cheese is delicious, okay? Querulous Artisan, well, I'm glad I'm not the only one. See, this is what I'm saying, okay? Other people get me.